10x is easier than 2x. That's the actual title of a book by Benjamin Hardy and Dan Sullivan. And when I first heard it, I thought, that can't be right. How could aiming 10 times higher actually be easier than just doubling what I already do? But this single idea completely rewired how I think about growth, strategy, and calling as an entrepreneur. It's not about how much harder you can grind. It's about stepping into a completely different way of thinking. It's one bold leap that multiplies your impact instead of adding a few more hours to your day, a few more things on your to-do list, trying to do more in less time. I'll share what I learned from this book and how entrepreneurs like us can break free from hustling and grinding in a way that leads to burnout and step into 10x results. I'll leave you with a challenge at the end, so stick with me. Let me be honest. I used to think effort was everything. Work harder, be disciplined, stay later, wake up earlier, and surely that would lead to progress. And it did. Don't get me wrong, it did. But it was incremental, tiny steps, enough for a fleeting excitement, but not enough for a complete transformation in the way I do business and in my life. And over time, that grind led to that settling in burnout. And the question started creeping in, like, is this even worth it? And yet I know that I've been called into this entrepreneurial path. But one foot wanted to quit and just be done with it. And the other was shaky, but it was planted on purpose of doing what I believe that I'm supposed to do as an entrepreneur. While all this was happening, that's when I felt that quiet wind blow. Christian entrepreneurs, you know, if you know, you know. That moment when the Holy Spirit nudges you. And I remembered a screenshot on my phone. And I went to look for it, and it was the book, 10x is easier than 2x. And I knew that book had the answers to what I was going through. That book became my lifeline. And what I discovered inside has become another lesson of entrepreneurship. I'll share with you 3 things that completely changed for me from reading this book. Here's the first lesson. To achieve enduring excitement, to have an entrepreneurial journey that's exciting for you, tough and hard, but exciting for you and full of passion and fueling you to keep going, you need mastery and you need progress. And for that, you need an ambitious leap. So 2x thinking, according to the authors of this book, is like you keep pushing, you keep grinding, and you'll double eventually because you're forcing it through, which is what I was doing. And I don't know how many of you resonate with that. And the authors say, 10x thinking says, change the game entirely. So for example, he says, if you're making, for ease of numbers, 10K a month, and you set a goal of making 100K a month, that's 10x your revenue goal. You have to ask yourself, is working a bit harder on your $250 service or $500 service going to get you there? And the answer is no. At some point, you're going to hit a ceiling and you can't possibly reach that 100K doing what you're doing. So 10X requires you to rethink that model. Maybe it's creating a premium offer or building a scalable system or innovating in a way that your market has never seen before. But more of the same won't get you to 10X. Setting a 10X goal forces you to innovate. And innovation doesn't mean inventing rockets or AI or Elon Musk or Albert Einstein. It just means bringing newness, freshness, and something different in your business context. So it could be reimagining how you package your coaching or how you deliver value or how you price your service. But it's going to be something that's so ambitious that it takes you completely out of what you're doing today. So let me ask you this. What bold project could you take on right now that would force you to operate at a 10x level? Drop it in the comments. I'd love to hear what 10x looked like for you. The second lesson will shake your calendar. To go to 10x, you must actually do less. And think about the Pareto principle. 80% of results come from 20% of your actions. That means most of your to-do list, most of your activities that we do every day are not moving the needle. It's just busyness. And it's things that we've gotten used to doing because they give us tiny either bits of dopamine or tiny little accomplishments, but still tiny. They're not moving the needle. And for me, this was hard to face because I thought being busy meant being productive. But busyness is often procrastination in disguise. Like, we know what we need to do to get to that next level. And a lot of times we create a lot of tiny little activities that inch us forward slowly. So imagine this, wiping out 80% of what you have on your calendar. Pretty painful. But now imagine the freedom that that creates. The freedom to think, the freedom to create, the freedom to pursue that ambitious leap. Here's the application. Identify the top 20% of activities that truly drive results and cut everything else. And this is like, look at your data. Look at what is actually producing results, not what you feel could possibly produce results, not what everybody else is doing, not what's popular right now, but what is actually producing results for you right now. Open your calendar for the past month and circle the activities that directly produced revenue, growth, or opportunities. Then cancel the rest. All that rest that you cancel out, that's your 80%. And if this idea excites you, make sure you watch my last video on Alex Hermosi and how he used books as a 10x lever to multiply his business brands. He took years to write these books. These books have catapulted him to literally legacy brand status in his niche. And that's an example of a 10x leap. I'll link the video in the description below so you can be inspired to see how other entrepreneurs are making 10x leaps that really create an impact on their business. The third and most important thing about 10xing is that it requires an identity shift. The authors quote Martha Beck, "How you do anything is how you do everything." And that means if you want to hit a 10x goal, you can't keep operating as a 2x person. You must raise your standards. I must raise my standards. You must become the type of entrepreneur who naturally attracts and sustains 10x opportunities. This is huge. And as Christian entrepreneurs, here's where faith comes in. It's not just about tactics, it's about courage. So many times in the Bible, we're told, be strong and courageous, be strong and courageous. And in Joshua 1:9, it says, "Have I not commanded you, be strong and courageous? Do not be afraid, do not be discouraged, for the Lord your God will be with you wherever you go." 10x is not about external effort. It's more about an internal transformation. I think of that quote that if you want to get something that you've never got, you have to do something you've never done. And doing something you've never done means coming out of your comfort zone. It means doing something that you're completely out of your depth. On the one hand, it's scary. And on the other hand, it's exciting. It's scary to do something you've never done, but it's exciting, the potential of what this can do to impact your business and your life. In the book, the authors reference entertainers. You think about how an athlete trains for years for one defining race, 4 years to have that 200-meter sprint at the Olympics. Warren Buffett spends about 8 hours of his day reading and thinking, not trading. The preparation is what makes the difference. And this is, something that is almost counterculture, especially to people who are not in entertainment, even to entrepreneurs. Because we often think of doing, performing, and we don't think about preparation. We don't think about how can I block out a couple of hours to make sure that that pitch is well prepared, that market research on that product, on the competitors, is done really well. I think of Brandy Harvey, who says, preparation is the separation factor. And that's an identity shift. Top performers spend more time preparing than performing. And if we're going to take on that identity, remember the 20% that we're left doing that is driving results for us. We're not going to do more. We're not going to turn 20 to 30%. We're going to keep doing that 20%, but we're going to do it better. Think about qualitative things and not quantitative things. How can we do this better? How can I improve this podcast by 10%? How can I improve my client onboarding by 10%? We're thinking about building ourselves up to be entrepreneurs who are more valuable. It's a big thing, but it's a doable thing. It's something that we have in our control. Sometimes you think, If I had more money, I could create more success. But really, I think what we need is courage. It's the courage to step out and do things we haven't done before that can create a 10x impact for our business. It's the courage to say, let's get rid of all the busyness and let's focus and let's build value and create something that in the marketplace, our value is apparent. Athletes and actors, they are highly paid. They spend years practicing their acting. They spend years preparing for that race. And now their value is apparent. And if we take that approach, I'm excited to see where this will take me. I'm excited to see where it will take you, the people who are listening and who are watching this. Let's stack all of this up so you can see the big picture clearly. One is about undertaking ambitious leaps instead of incremental efforts. Two is do less. Cut the 80% that doesn't matter. There are things that we've been doing for ages and they feel like a warm blanket, but they're not taking us anywhere. Let's not hope that there's potential in something. Let's look at what's working right now, double down on that, and do it better and better and better. Number three is step into courage and shift your identity to play at a higher level. How you do one thing is how you do everything. That quote by Martha Beck. Let's become entrepreneurs who are continually setting the bar high for ourselves and creating value within us and within our businesses. Because guess what? When that value is apparent, that 10x revenue goal is a natural outcome. Think about people who pay coaches $25,000 for an hour, people who pay coaches $100,000 for an hour. They don't need to be convinced. The value is apparent because they've done the work. Like an athlete who's been preparing behind the scenes. That's the approach that we can have. So this is very, very exciting to me because for a long time I was thinking, okay, if I could pour more money into the business, I would move faster. If I could do more, I could move faster. And no, 10x is easier than 2x. When I was reading this book, I thought to myself, I'm reading this book all alone. I'd have loved to have been reading it with other people and masterminding around these ideas and applying them in our businesses and sharing the feedback. And so, if you want to go deeper, I've created the Faithful Founders Collective Book Club. And it's a space where faith-driven entrepreneurs can study books like 10x is easier than 2x and apply them together. It's 100% free for the next 90 days because I believe that wisdom grows best in community. If you'd like to be a founding member as we try out this concept of having a mastermind book club, you'll find the link below to join. Back to the book. Let me leave you with one question. Will you keep grinding for 2x or will you dare to step into 10x? Entrepreneurship isn't about busyness. It requires a lot of courage. It requires a change of identity, and it requires obedience to the vision that God has placed inside of you. So step boldly into that 10x vision, and may God bless the work of your hands. Thank you for listening, and thank you for watching.